Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I'm answering a Dear Ruth Theresa question. That's right. Today I was talking to a client and they happened to ask me kind of like, out of all the abilities there are, is the one main one you use? And I was like, well, there really are a lot of psychic abilities out there, and some of them kind of fall under a big umbrella. So there's a lot of gifts underneath that one major ability. So let's talk about abilities really quick, and then I'll explain everything else. Okay, so kind of the three main abilities that people have is clairvoyance, clairaudient, and clairsensitive. So clairvoyant is kind of being able to see ghost or energy. I will say you may see movement out of the corner of your eye. You may see energy in trees, in plants, in people, being able to see auras, see ghosts, angels, archangels. All of that is kind of under that clairvoyant gift. And this is one of the gifts that I have mostly, but I will tell people usually you have different parts of it. So you may be able to see auras really well, but you may not see ghosts as well. Or you may see angels really easy, but seeing energy that's stuck in a building may not be your forte. So it's kind of like some of them are hit and miss and some of them are all together. So let's talk about clairaudience. And this is kind of like being able to hear messages from the other side. And usually this gift is kind of the gift that kind of drives people crazy the most, is because you will hear voices, or you will hear singing, or you will hear sounds, but no one else does. You'll be like, hey, did you hear this? Hey, did you hear this? And everybody just goes, no. Well, that's how you know it's kind of like this clairaudience gift. And it's being able to hear things from the other side of and being able to hear them. But I will tell you that sometimes tuning it in can be the part that's a little bit more aggravating, I will say. So sometimes people will be like, I hear voices, but they're mumbling. And I'm like, it can happen. Or you'll hear sounds, but it doesn't make sense. Or it's kind of nice when you hear like a knock or something like that. It makes life a little bit easier, because then you're like, oh yes, I did hear the knock, and I know exactly from my hearing, I know exactly where this came in at. So that helps as well. Clairsensitive is the one that I think people have the most issues with, because you're kind of just sensitive to everything, or some people be more sensitive to one thing than another. So it's kind of like you're sensitive to a lot of things. You may feel the energy in someone's words. So if someone said something really mean, it may affect your body differently. You may feel the energy in picking up an item that doesn't belong to you, and you can feel the energy of that other person as well. Sometimes energy gets stuck in building or places or items. So chairs, buildings, furniture, all of that kind of stuff can hold on to energy. And when you touch it, you're kind of contaminating yourself with someone else's energy. So good or bad, it's not yours. So even if you got a desk handed down to you and your family, you could get that desk and go, oh, Grandpa loved this desk, but you may pick up energy and kind of go feel like it's something's wrong with this. Well, it's not that Grandpa had bad energy. It's just Grandpa's energy is not your energy. Your energy is different, and how you deal with things are much different than he did. So that's kind of one of those things. Kind of the three that you really can't fix or adjust too easily or anything else. Either you have them or you don't, or eventually you will have them, is clairgustance. And that's really the ability to taste things without actually putting them in your mouth. You can see something and you'll be like, oh, that tastes sour, and everybody else is like, well, you never put it in your mouth. You can just taste it psychically without actually having to put it in your mouth. You may also kind of get like it's too sweet, it's too whatever it is, and you will kind of get a physical sensation with that. Sometimes when I taste something with my clairgustance, if it's really sour, my face will pucker up, my jaw gets really tight, my throat kind of closes as if I put like a sour lemon in my mouth. So my body will react to something that's actually not there. Clairallegiance is one of those gifts of being able to smell. Now, a lot of people have this at different extents. Sometimes they will smell like someone's perfume or roses or something. My grandmother was known for growing roses, and so when she's around me, I will smell that rose, fresh roses as well. But that can be also cologne. You can smell cigar smoke or cigarette smoke. You can smell musty odors, that sort of thing, that are not, everybody else is in the room is not smelling. So it's not like, oh, you're the only one who's sensitive to it. You're the only one who's picking up on that psychic sense of being able to smell. And this can be one, like I said, can be very difficult to kind of figure out who is coming through. I had a client the other day that was telling me, like, I keep smelling cigarette smoke in my house, but I don't know who it is, because she had like 5 or 6 family members that smoked. So it can make it difficult to kind of figure out who it is. So she can cut down. She was like, I can cut down the list on some, but not on everybody. And I'm like, it actually can help. Or sometimes taking a deep breath after you smell something and kind of like, okay, who do I feel is around, can help as well. The last kind of gift is called claircognizant. And this is something that I really truly feel that you really can't amplify. It will come up with the others as you kind of work on your other gifts and abilities. It will come up as well. Claircognizant is basically being able to just clearly know something that you shouldn't have any knowledge about. You can see this usually in kids as well. It's one of those, they'll just, someone will ask something like, why is the dryer not working? And they'll just say, oh, the filter's full. Like, where did that come from? And they're a child of like 4 or 5, like they wouldn't even know there's a filter on there in the machine. Or dealing with kind of just that clear knowing of just the energy coming forward. Things about, like, someone will say, oh, my uncle Sam died of a heart attack. And sometimes that person will be like, I don't get heart attack, I get something else that caused the heart attack. And so it's not necessarily kind of, you're getting some of the information, but not necessarily all of the information. And so that can be something really interesting as well as you deal with claircognizant. But it's kind of an interesting phenomenon to have, because it's also your ability that you do major downloads. When creator energy or universe energy does a download, that's how you pick up on that energy, kind of like, oh, this is what the download is. Or this is, I need to get in a quiet place to meditate so I can get my download of what's coming up next, or how to deal with what's coming up next. So all of these abilities come in many, many different ways. Now, for me, I have most of these on board at some point. And kind of one of the lucky things is because I kind of grew up in a kind of chaotic situation, let's put it that way. I really never turned off my abilities. Most people that I know turned off their abilities at some point. They may have told mom that so-and-so was pregnant, and then so-and-so called and said, hey, I'm pregnant. And mom was like, oh my gosh, and freaked out about it. And they were kind of like, oh, this is not good. It scared mom. And so I am terrified of this as well. And so that can be something that can be very scary for a child. So a lot of times people turn it off, or sometimes they told their parents, like, I'm seeing I'm seeing a person standing in my room, and mom and dad will be like, there's no one in your room, there's no one there, and you're just seeing things. And so they go, oh, I realize, like, this is not a good thing, and they'll turn it off. I think one of the abilities that I work on most when I'm working with a client is, I would say, clairvoyant. Sometimes other family members or the person I'm reading for, their family members will come in and show me either almost like a picture, or they'll show me a short video clip of something. And usually the video clip is only maybe 3 to 5 seconds. So it's not a very, like 10-minute long video clip. It's usually a short, fast, kind of like, here's the information. And I can re-see it several times, so I can kind of like rewind it and rewind it over and over again to restart that same one, so I can get all the information from them. Clairaudient, of course, I can hear the other side. I can hear not only ghosts from the other side, but I can also hear angels and guides and spirit guides, archangels from the other side. And that's kind of one of the cool gifts that I love having, is being able to have them as a resource and being able to ask and hear their answer as well. I am very clairsensitive. This is an ability that I usually keep on very low because it can overwhelm people really fast, and it can overwhelm me as quickly. Claircognizant is a gift that I will probably use many times throughout my day, of just asking for this knowledge. If a client tells me, no one I know in my family ever passed in a war, and I'm seeing people in uniform or something like that, I'll be like, okay, so I'm getting, with my clairvoyant, I'm seeing the images, but my claircognizance tells me that you're incorrect on that information. Then I can tell with that kind of like what side of the family, and it's more of a knowing, like I'll just know that this is coming in on your mom's side of the family or coming in on your dad's side of the family. And using all of those abilities during a reading is something that I use all the time. There's nothing that's really off limits in sort of questions or how I deal with clients or getting them the information that they require. So let's do an angel card reading of kind of like, what are our psychic abilities and what else or what other information would they like us to know about them. This one is literally popping forward. Midhaven, and this is the Pinnacle. Your abilities have a peak, and they will kind of turn on or off as necessary. Kind of one of the interesting ones is that they will turn on their own, depending on what you need. It's almost like we already know that she's going to need this one today, and so your angels and guides will turn that on high for you, so that you'll be ready for that day. This one is the Descendant, and this one is all about invitations. And this is kind of like when we invite ghosts in, like I do when I'm doing a reading. I invite the ghost into my space. It's one of those, I don't allow them to talk to me in advance. I wait for that client to be here so I can ask those questions to them directly, and being able to channel that answer right away. It's really important. The 11th house is community. I think one of the things that I've realized in my psychic abilities is that there is a community on the other side. They're always all connected, and they're always all connected to our family members. Now, I will tell you that there are sometimes that family members that they visit way more often, but I guarantee you they are visiting their family members kind of around just to make sure they can check in. I did a video about this one, and I'll link it down beneath, and it's called Ghosts Are Like Popcorn. I always say, like, they kind of pop around the family to kind of check in on things. They will stay with someone who is sick or really requires their energy more than the others. They'll stay with them, but I guarantee you they're checking in on everybody else as well. This is the South Node, and this is the past. A lot of times, one of the crazy abilities that I have is not only to be able to connect with someone's current life, I can also connect to their past lives. So when I see someone, that's kind of one of the things that I can pick up on is their common past lives. So if they're having an issue with their marriage in this life, I can pick up that past life that also connected either to that same person or to a bad marriage or a marriage that wasn't working well for them, so I can bring through that information. But that's kind of the interesting part. I don't have to be in a meditation to do it. I can almost like just claircognizant and draw it to me and answer those questions, which is kind of interesting. And I think past lives have a lot of information to tell us about, and a lot of information that they can show us as well. Third house, communication. I will tell you that communication is like the backbone of my business, because when I'm not only booking a client, when I'm scheduling an appointment, when I'm doing the reading, and afterwards, communication is the absolute number one way to work through things. And sometimes I do have to give people bad news. Sometimes I have to give them news that's not so great, that sort of thing. But I think it's important that I communicate that well, and I communicate it to the best of my abilities. And that's usually where I kind of will kick in and ask their angels and guides of, hey, is there a way I can tell them this, that they're going to get it on the best way possible, or hear it the best way possible, instead of going, oh my gosh, this is horrible information, I can't believe this came out this way. And so I think that's kind of one of those interesting things, is being able to have that information right there. The next two that actually came together, this one is Libra, and this is all about balance, and this is Gemini, and this is all about cross-pollinating. And so what I would say is kind of the balance, or the cross-pollination between all of the abilities, are that they work together. You don't usually have just one ability, or one really strong and one really, really weak. They all kind of stay in with a set ability range for you. But kind of the interesting part is to balance out your day. With intermittent meditation can help, or taking time to yourself. Sometimes I'll just sit outside and kind of almost doing like a moving meditation, just walking around the yard, walk up and down the street that I live on, and just kind of getting recentered can be a very helpful ability of just like recentering my energy, rebalancing things, and kind of getting back in my own energy as well. I think that's kind of the best way to kind of deal with abilities, and I do it quite often. I will have usually 2 or 3 clients in a row, and then I'll give myself a little bit of a break, so I can take a break and kind of re-energize and rebalance my energy, and then go back in and do several new clients. That's the best way I've found for myself. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.